9281 PM Memphis. Upland Broadcasting Station.
Pop 1240 WABN. What's going on? This is the ever clever Asia Raison, giving you music information and so much more right here on Pop 1240 and 104.1 WABN. And as a part of the community outreach program of the Mid-South radio stations, WABN 1240 and 104.1 FM, my media contract and general manager, Stevenson Clark, he extends out an invitation to students to participate in an interview. And today is no different. Today, we just happen to have none other than Tony Woodson, who is the Director of Counseling at Lamoille College. I'm going to go ahead, I'll throw it back over to Stevenson Clark and let him explain. But the views and opinions of this program is basically expressed by that person and not the management of AM 1240 and FM 104.1 WABN. And now I'm going to go ahead and throw it out to Stevenson Clark.
All right, once again, Tony, we welcome you to WABN, and of course, we salute you in everything that you're embarking on.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here today to discuss some information about our teams and what's going on today. So thank you for providing me with the opportunity. Today I would like to talk to you about promoting positive development in teens and what can parents do. Now, there are a whole lot of subject matters in this area, but for a conversation piece today and for instructional purposes from my instructor, we've narrowed it down. I've narrowed it down to 5 topics that I would like to share with the listening audience on today.
All right, and as a part of our public service mission, we offer topics for discussion. And like I said, Tony, you are currently pursuing your doctorate degree, and this interview, of course, is a part of your class. First question: in the news of the late, we are hearing about the increased numbers of teens contracting different types of cancer. What advice can you give concerned parents?
Well, the advice I would give, Stevenson, you are exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Increasing numbers of boys and girls are contracting different types of cancers. Today I would like to focus on one cancer in particular. While there is a focus on cervical cancer among adolescent females, boys are certainly not immune from contracting other types of cancers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the best protection against these cancers that you can give your teenager is the HPV vaccine. That is the human papillomavirus vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, HPV is a virus spread via people that have sexual contact with each other.
Okay.
Administered when an adolescent is 11 or 12 years of age, the vaccine provides the teenager with the maximum immune response against the virus and provide increased antibodies to fight off any potential infection.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, you can stress that this vaccine will protect your teen, son or daughter, against various types of cancers,
Mm-hmm.
rather than giving your offspring a free pass to have sex. Nevertheless, as a parent, please be aware that in the United States, 7% of children at the age of 12 to 13 have sexual relations, and up to a third of all children have sexual relations by the age of 16.
Wow.
Now, this is from the research that I've gathered. Also be aware that currently in an urban area like Memphis, only 54% of teenage girls
Mm-hmm.
and 21% of teenage boys have received the HPV vaccine. So I would like to encourage every parent that's listening today to consider seriously having your adolescent child receive the HPV vaccine. Now, you can find out additional information about this from our Centers for Disease Control website, the CDC website.
Wow.
I'm just amazed by that. 12, 13 years old?
Yes.
Wow. I don't even think I was thinking about that when I was at that age. Really?
I know, and I find it interesting because I was watching TV and I've been seeing the commercial about
Right.
HPV.
Right.
HPV. And coincidentally, the same my instructors say, hey, well, do some research on some topics.
Right.
And so I saw that and I said, well, this is information that I would like to share with the listeners.
Well, a lot of teen magazines, basically, they have the ads in there where they go in and they tell these kids to go in and find out if they need this, and then the schools themselves have found themselves really involved in making sure that these kids are getting this shot by the time they're 13 years old. So,
Yes,
Yes.
that is correct.
Wow. Well, it is my understanding that the birth rate among African American teens is significantly higher than the birth rate among white teens. What advice could you give us, grade 104.1, for concerned parents?
Well, the advice that I can share with you today is that no matter whether if you are a parent of any teenager, of any particular race, a combination of races, my advice is the same. Family or extended family, you have to be connected, and communication is the key. Now, studies show that such protective factors have a positive impact on sexual outcomes. A study of sexual behaviors of 253 adolescent girls in Minnesota is but only one study confirming that fact. And yes, Stevenson, you are correct in the birth rate statistics. Black teens give a birth rate of 39.0 per 1,000, whereas in contrast, white teens give a birth rate of 18.6 births per 1,000.
Wow.
Now, while the subject of sex among teens may be difficult, religious, and more topic with some parents, it is incumbent on all parents to inform their children about the consistent usage of condom, the different hormonal methods of protection available, whether it's injection or the oral contraceptive pill, as well as abstinence. Now, I'm from the old school.
yeah.
I gear more toward abstinence.
Now that I do agree with, my mother was the same way, so that was a big deal. Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
So if parents would like more information on this subject of teenage sex and contraception, websites about teen parent programs known to reduce teen sexual risk would include Families Talking Together and Keeping It Real, and they are available. So go out there and search and get some information. But that is a good site that you can start with to be able to provide you some valuable information if you find that topic of discussion with your child a little bit difficult.
Okay, all right, well, I just think that's absolutely deep, and I do like keeping it real, and I try to pass that on to a lot of the kids that I go and I mentor, so that's a really huge deal.
Yeah.
Huge deal. Okay, want me to take the next question?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, well, with so many adolescents in our metropolitan area growing up in drug, gang, and violent infested neighborhoods, now what can a parent do?
That is an excellent question. For time's sake, I narrowed it down to one area that we could talk about today.
Okay.
So as hopeless as those situations appear, there is an abundance of research and evidence that even faced with such adversity, positive youth development, and we'll refer to it as PYD, can have enormous consequences and benefits for teens and their psychosocial development. Now, PYDs across the country are,
That's okay, it's okay.
across the country are engaged in a paradigm shift. Now, from regarding adolescents from such background as problems to viewing those adolescents as opportunity. Now, Chicago Youth Development Study of 341 boys concluded that there is an inverse correlation between the promotion of ethnic group connectivity and the occurrences of adverse mental health problems. Another recent analysis identified that the 5 C's, now I found this interesting, are ingredients necessary for the success of positive youth development initiatives. They consist of competence, confidence, connection, caring, and character. In addition to that, there was a study in New Zealand that concluded that PYDs targeting even very vulnerable teens exposed to abuse and neglect resulted in enhanced resilience and better well-being outcomes. Finally, there were studies of adolescents engaged with some PYD initiatives that showed a reduction of substance abuse and violence, the promotion of individual well-being, and the enhancement of social and emotional competencies. Resources available to you are your school guidance counselor and your local programs such as the youth leadership teams of the Memphis Athletic Ministries, the Hope for Youth program of the Urban Youth Initiative, and the Project Aware mentoring program of families of incarcerated individuals. And I've had the opportunity to work very closely with representatives from the Project Aware mentoring program
Right.
of the families of incarcerated individuals.
Oh,
And they
wow.
do an awesome job in providing the support services, educational services that these teens need during those type of crises.
Right. Because I think to have that opening, to have that conversation is really important. You know, because kids go through a lot and they hold a lot in. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole lot. Let me ask the next question. Now, what should parents expect from schools, service organizations, we talk about this, and religious entities, for example, as their teenage children interact with those institutions?
Research indicates that when support systems gear their curricula to service, social, and emotional learning, teens demonstrate enhanced psychosocial development and increased competencies, such as self-management and responsible decision-making. Now, a focus study involving some 20,000 students in 52 high schools assessed the impact of equity of treatment of minority students in school environments. Not surprisingly, the study concluded that the social environment is an important setting for promoting positive youth development. I found it to be very interesting. Now, as parents, you have the right to ensure that such institutions are indeed complementing your efforts in raising your teens.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. But here's the final question, and of course, congratulations to everything that you're embarking on. Many parents want to do what's right, but when they turn to the experts, they get conflicted advice. One day, the research says it's good to ignore your teens while they're sulking, and then the next day, that it says it's okay to pay no attention to the teens. So what should the parent do when it seems like the expert can't even make up their minds?
I think that question has been around long before my existence.
Mhm.
I'm going to give with you the stats that I found in research, but then I'm going to bring it on home to how I was raised.
Okay.
Now, I don't see any contradictions to their research and advice to the parents at all. I don't take any umbrage when it seems like the experts cannot make up their minds.
Mhm.
It should not preclude you as a parent from lending an ear and dispensing advice when you deem appropriate. I cannot overemphasize the oft-times overlooked elements of empathetic listening. In this day and age, we at times are shouting over and past one another, failing to establish any common ground. I would like to take a break in that to relate this to an actual incident. I am currently serving as the director of counseling at Villamorno College as I'm pursuing my doctoral degree in psychology.
Right.
What I've found from what we just spoke about is that you have to keep an open dialogue with your child, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Parents, you have to be willing to listen to your children. One example I wanted to make is that I had a student that was enrolled at the school. The student was very just unhappy. The parents noticed that the student was unhappy, so she came into my office and she was talking and she said, "Well, Mr. Whitson, my parents want me to be here. However, all I want to do is hair. I want to learn how to, I want to do hair. That's what I want to do." So the student said, "Would you mind speaking with me, with my parents? Because, you know, it's like, okay, I'm not performing well, this is going on, then I have to listen to my parents, no one is listening to me."
Right.
So I did speak with them. And I emphasized the point in speaking and providing objectives that as long as your child is willing to be doing something constructive, think about supporting it, and maybe later on down the line, they will be better prepared for a liberal arts institution.
Right.